I need to know how it's done now, and tell me everything. Tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly, because there's no judgment. I need to know so I can give you something that's fit for purpose. As a BA, the worst thing I can do is to give you something that you can't work with and to make life harder.
Welcome to episode 11 of the Corporate Show with myself, Manjit Niji, your host. Welcome to another, what I hope will be another insightful episode for you. And today I've got with me a lovely lady called Patricia Campbell. And Patricia is what we call a business analyst. Now, some of you may not know what a business analyst is, which is why she's on the show. Hi, Patricia, how are you?
Hi, Manji. Thank you for having me here. I'm really well, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for taking the time out and coming here. Now, Patricia has been a business analyst for a very long time. And some people think, oh, why would you stay in the same role? You know, I want to move up and do other things, but you don't know Patricia's story. I've known Patricia for quite a while, and we used to work together a long time ago. And we've kind of kept in touch on and off ever since. And then recently met again last year, face to face again, at a networking event, which was really, really good. I loved it. It was absolutely brilliant. So Patricia, can you tell us what is business analysis? What actually is it?
Business analysis, wow, not many people know what it is. We are needed, but not everyone knows what we do. In a nutshell, I like to say that the business analyst is the voice of the business in an IT sort of business change. So we are the middleman between the business, which are different functions within an organisation, and IT, and we help to land change in an organisation. And that's in a nutshell. I could go on a lot longer, but then I'll be here for about half an hour. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have that much time. Maybe next time you can come back and give us some more information to expand it even more. So that's what business analysis is. So how did you get into business analysis?
Okay, so I used to be an Oracle programmer many, many years ago. This was in the 90s, and as much as I liked sitting there at my desktop, it wasn't a laptop back then, and writing code, it was a one-man show. I didn't get to speak to anybody, and I'm quite a chatty person. I'm quite nosy and quite inquisitive, and I kind of sort of. It was kind of a sideways step into business analysis. So the company we both worked at, I joined that company as a programmer, but I just started getting my fingers into other pies. I started building really good networks, and I met a lady who used to look after the Remedy team, and she wanted someone that had some programming skills, but also could just help to land this change. And because I was sort of good at networking and asking questions, she said to me, would you want to be a business analyst? I was like, what? I'll give it a go. And literally it was a sideways step into that. And it was amazing. I got to speak to people. I got to solve problems. I got to, use my programming skills, sort of the analytical programming skills to look for solutions, So it was a positive sideways step into business analysis, and I've thrived ever since.
Yeah, you definitely have. You've gone from strength to strength. Yeah. So that was your kind of like first foray into it. What does it actually bring to, let's say, me as an individual, if I want to get into business? What value is it for me, but also what value is it to the organization? So if I'm whichever organization I am, and I send somebody off on a training course, what value are you expecting from that individual to come back with?
Really good question. So traditionally, change in organisations was always sort of brought up by IT. So IT would turn around and say, we think the business needs a new application to do blah. They'll go off and do it, and the business will get this application and be like, well, this is not fixing our problems. We can't use it, and IT will be like, well, you're not following the training manual. So really, so you need a BA to really understand what is the problem that the business has. And even within the business, they don't agree what the problem is. So you might have the, you know, the issue is we're not making enough money, and the sales guy will think, well, we're not selling enough products, or someone might think we haven't got the right training, or someone will think marketing's rubbish. But there can only be one problem that can be dealt with. So the BA's role is to come and get consensus amongst the business as to what problem, what is the main problem that we're going to fix. And the BA will also keep everyone honest towards what are the goals and the objectives that the business is trying to reach. So again, you might have a change, or someone wants to do something, but it doesn't support the strategy, the objectives, the goals, and you want the BA to make sure that whatever is delivered is meeting the needs of the organisation.
Wow, that's a lot there to be taken on board. So
Yeah.
you have to really, to be a business analyst, you have to be a people person then, and
Absolutely.
you have to understand, I don't know if you need to understand the technicalities of the operational side of the business, but you need to understand the running of the business, and from a strategy perspective, but then also from the day-to-day running of the people who are going to be then providing the services, helping you to improve and so on. Am I right in saying that?
Kind of. So for me, I always like to say, as long as the BA has good core skills, they should be able to find what they need to know. They should be able to find the right stakeholder, build relationships, because if you don't build relationships, that person will not spend time with you explaining what's going on and getting you up to speed. You know, so technically, do you need to have lots of technical skills? No. What you do need to have is influencing skills. You need to know how to build relationships with everyone on your project. So if you sitting down working with someone that's very techie, say, you know, a developer, a tester, an architect, you need to know how to build skills and speak their language. You need to know how to speak the stakeholders' language. You need to know how to speak the business's language, and then bring all that information together so everyone can understand it and everybody is on the same page.
So is this a skill that can be taught, or does it just come naturally to you?
It can be taught, because there's so many business analysis courses out there. But I think you need to have a bit of an aptitude for it. You need to, you need to always ask, so what? And sometimes you're asking so what of really senior people. So you might get, someone at the top of organisation, I want to have this. And as a BA, you don't say, okay, yes, you're going to do that. You got to, okay, so what? But in a loving and caring way. You want to understand, what is this new widget over here? What problem is it going to fix? Who's it going to benefit? You really want to understand what's in it for the business. So in a loving and caring way, you are asking, so what? And that's what we need to do. Yeah, because if I don't believe in the change, I can't then present it, because the BA is the SME, the subject matter expert of that change. And if I don't believe in it, I can't be the subject matter expert of it.
And that's really key, I think, is what you've just said. Something really important there, which is the belief.
Yeah.
In order for anything to happen in any organisation, no matter what role you're doing, if you don't believe in what you're doing, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Absolutely, and saying the BA, because we are unsung heroes. No one quite knows what we do, but everyone knows that you need a BA on a project, because the BA is normally somebody on the project. Somebody needs to go and find out blast. Someone needs to go and someone needs to go and prepare some training material. Somebody. So, and the BA normally steps into that role. And we are the glue in all the little cracks. We bring it all together. And sometimes the most powerful thing that we do is getting the right people around the table and having a conversation.
I mean, you could say, I'm playing devil's advocate here, which I know you like. You could say, well, why do I need you when I've got a project manager? Why would I need you?
The project manager looks after the project. The project manager, you know, knows what's going on within the project. They are the ones that go back to the board or exco or steerco and you know, give project updates. On projects I've worked on that have been really successful, I've had a really good relationship with my project manager. We have both stayed in our lanes and we have both slayed in our lanes. So I don't say one's more important than the other, but they're definitely both needed on a successful project. And you know, if someone says you don't need to be a BA on a project because you've got a project manager or a product owner, believe you me, something has been missed. A major requirement has been missed. I'll put my hat on it. You know, I'll stake my claim on that, definitely.
Which leads me to my next question, which is, so what if I don't have a business analyst?
I mean, your project your project will go ahead. It might take a bit longer, but to me, you know, business analysis is a really important skill set, and we bring so much value to a project. You know, and same as a project manager, same as developers, testers. I think we all have our role to play, and if projects are going to be really successful, you need to have all these parts together working as one. So it's like, you know, 5 fingers on a hand. If you haven't got one, you know, that hand's not working properly.
You see, you kind of like going back to what I always say in the majority of my training sessions that I deliver, not just on the training, but on the self-development stuff that I do as well, on the coaching, which is we all have that vision, which is that, you know, that picture on the jigsaw puzzle box, but it's finding the right pieces to connect together to make that picture. So without a business analysis and analyst involved in the whole thing, then the picture, you may well end up putting it together, but it more than likely will take you a lot longer, and you may actually get things in the wrong order. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, or not get what you originally wanted. You won't get that, you know, you won't get that change that you wanted. You know, you won't get that blue dot on the screen. You might get something totally different. You know, the BA holds the vision of the company, the BA holds the goal, and the BA strives to ensure that whatever is delivered meets that goal. You know, sometimes you might have someone in development that thinks, oh, the business don't really want that. Actually, they do. I'm the voice of the business in IT. These are requirements I got from my business stakeholders. You know, deliver them. And if you can't, why not let me know? Then I will go back to my stakeholders and say, well, we can't deliver this because it's expensive, we haven't got time or resources or whatever. What can we do? What can we do instead?
And what's the link between your world and my world, business analysis and service management? So what's the link between the two?
Well, you know, I've worked with many service manager, and I've worked with them in terms of they've been my subject matter expert. You know, so if I'm working on a change that affects your world, I need to speak to a service manager. You know, if we're making a massive operational change, I need to speak to that service manager, because BAs, we're quite empty. We don't know much. We're like, and you know, I need to get all the knowledge from you in my head so I can understand how the change is going to affect you, to make sure I don't mess up your world.
Yeah, and that happens a lot. My world gets messed up a lot, and I think a lot of the other service managers and service delivery managers and operational people will be going sitting at home going, yes, it gets messed up, because people don't take into consideration what life is going to be like once you've moved on, once the change has been implemented, once the project has gone ahead.
Absolutely, because once the change has been implemented, I'm off the project. You know, I'm off the project. It's up to you guys to take this new thing and run with it. If I haven't spoken to you, if I haven't considered you, if I haven't got your requirements, the change is going to be really, really hard to land, and it's going to be resistance, and it might, you know, and the company might waste money on a project or this new thing that's never implemented, that's never taken on board, because people were not considered.
So how can operations, service delivery, service management, how can we make your role easier? How can we help you more?
Telling us exactly what you do, not how it should be done. So, you know, many organizations might have processes and procedures for how they do a particular thing. But we know everyone comes up with workarounds because that process no longer works. So I need to know how it's done now, and tell me everything. Tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly, because there's no judgment. I need to know so I can give you something that's fit for purpose. As a BA, the worst thing I can do is to give you something that you can't work with and to make life harder in operations. And one of the things that I always say is that I will do no harm, meaning that if a change has to be implemented, I'm doing no harm to the guys on the front line, the guys in operation. I will do no harm. And I have gone back and I have pushed back against project managers who want to go down a particular route. And I'm like, no, because if you do this, it's going to make it harder. This process that took a day is going to take 4 days, or you're introducing more complexity, and they're going to come with more workarounds. So that's what I take. I am very precious about making sure that I do no harm on my projects.
I think that's absolutely amazing. And unfortunately, we're running out of time. Can you believe it? It's like goes so quickly. It's just, I think it's a breath of fresh air from a service management perspective, from a delivery perspective, to have people like yourself who are looking at the bigger picture, looking at, so what's going to happen when we delivered this project or program or whatever it is, and then you guys move off, and where does it leave the delivery people? Where does it leave them? So it's really important to have that element taken care of. And I agree with you, that it's actually up to the operational side of the business to be more open and honest and sharing, because this is not about taking away control or anything like that. It's so that you understand it, and then the improvements that you're going to put in place will actually enhance what we're doing, not take away from what we're doing. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you so much for coming and talking to us about business analysis. It's been really good. I've learned a lot. I always do from these little talks that we have, because again, we've known each other, but we don't really sit down and talk about work. What we do. Anything but. We're like, oh, let's just chill. So it's nice to have these conversations. So thank you again for coming. And you guys need to keep watching, because Patricia will pop up again at some point, if not in this series. And then there's another series of talks which I'm planning called Inspired By, and where when you listen to Patricia's story, it will kind of like blow your mind in a lot of ways. So it certainly did with me. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Remember to like, subscribe, and to share with anybody who's interested in business analysis, who may actually gain some value from watching this. And also remember to hit the bell icon, so that way when the episode goes live, you've got it straight to your inbox, and it's going to tell you this one's going live, so you know what's coming up each single week. So thank you again for watching with me, Manjit Nija, and Patricia on the Corporate Show, and I will see you again very soon. Thank you.